Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shalom, aloha, salam. What's up? I am getting ready right now for the first quarter activation. So I'm sitting in a very empty, simple, light-filled space. Perfect reflection of where we want to be to receive the incoming message, right? An open, simple, clear, light-filled space. I'm just setting up right now with my little blanket, my velvet blanket here for my cards. I always use a blue blanket for my cards. I have another one that has little stars on it that's very special to me. I always like for my blanket that the cards rest upon to resemble the firmament. So they're like symbols reflecting the stars that you see in the sky, for example. So for those of you who are new to these activations, they actually have nothing to do with the moon, and the moon is only used to measure time so that we can separate time into 4 quarters for a monthly cycle. We just recently entered the Hebrew month Kislev, and it is a month full of hope, prayer, celebration, joy. Hanukkah's coming, the festival of lights. Okay, so we're 1 week in to this monthly cycle. Last week we met for the new moon activation, and that was really all about a new beginning within and without, right? And it was 3 wands cards. That was pretty powerful. If you guys missed it, you could always check it out on my YouTube channel, or you could check it out on my Facebook wall. For those of you who are new, again, this doesn't actually have anything to do with the moon. The moon is only used as a measurement of time. What these activations do is they provide us with a unified message that we, whoever's tuning in from all over the world, can connect under. One ideal, one message. And we do this every week. So the first quarter, which we're at now, is all about what have we done in this past week since the new beginning? Okay, now that we have put 1 foot into this process, what's going on? What have we gathered so far? I'm just shuffling the deck. Go ahead and let go of whatever thoughts you've been carrying all day, all week, all month, all year, whatever it is. Just set it all aside, at least for this moment, so that we can tune into the openness that we need to tune into in order to receive the message. And as I'm shuffling you all into the deck, and as you're clearing all that stuff away, setting your stuff aside, go ahead and let me know where you're tuning in from. Where are you in the world? What kind of a grid are we creating? And as usual, I'm tuning in live from Sedona, Arizona. If you've never heard of it before, look it up. Sedona, it's a super special place. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Manchester, UK, Maine, Florida, awesome. Upstate New York. Beautiful. So good to see you all tuning in. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Belgium. Awesome. So we're creating this global grid of light right now. And then together, we're going to activate it under a particular message that will come in from the cards. I see another New York. I see Ireland. I see Virginia. Awesome. And so once you've set your stuff aside, you feel open, receptive. Remember that the most expansive space is the infinite place of the light in your heart. And this is a special light. It's the light that also contains the dark. It's the original one, the infinite space of the heart. And that's where I'll meet you here now. And go ahead and connect to the grid that we're creating however you know how, right? You can envision us all holding hands across the world. You can envision yourself right here, right now with me. You can envision yourself shrinking and jumping into the deck. But most importantly, know that you are one with the cards and the characters in this deck. Because these faces, these cards, are personifications of archetypal wisdom that lives within each one of us and lives within all things. They're faces that that are personifications and representations of the energies that are the building blocks of all of reality. So first quarter, let's see. Where have we come to in 1 week into this cycle? What have we discovered is the thing that we're going to work on this month, okay? What is the one thing that we're working on this month, the highlight of this month? And what is our biggest challenge that also turns into a gift as we victoriously move through this challenge this month? Okay. Beginning with the first card, what is the major theme of this month? The one focus of this month that has now been getting clearer as we're 1 week into the cycle. Another wands, just like last week. Four of Wands. The Four of Wands was specifically what came up last week. So I don't know who was here, if any of you remember. But it's just, and we have 44 viewers in this exact moment. So very interesting. It's coming up again. So it's confirming for us that what we pulled last week still stands. And this is it. This is our focus. Foundation. Foundation. This month is about building the form, the structure for our lives to thrive. And it's wands, so it's the suit of fire, of spirit, of the unseen, the realm of causes, and not just the effects that we see around us on the material plane. So it's about creating a foundation spiritually, energetically, strengthening, fortifying our foundation in the unseen realm, so that all that we do here on this material plane is sustainable, is built upon truth, is built upon that unseen but powerful structure. And so the goal here is to build a foundation upon truth, upon law that is universal, that is natural, so that all that we build upon it in all other realms, right, like mentally, emotionally, physically, all things that we work on, all projects, when we give our energy to them, they're sustainable. It's not a waste of our time. It's not a futile effort. We want to make sure that our values and our morals are firmly in place. That's what it looks like to build this structure, this foundation. All right, a lot of people say, like, well, how do I do that? How do I build that? It's simple. The spiritual foundation, the spiritual structure back of all things is always about your morals, your beliefs, your values, as they should reflect the morals, beliefs, and values of the one. And what are those? They're reflected in universal law. They're reflected in natural law. They're reflected all around and within you, because you are one with this law. So it looks like building a spiritual foundation first before you start to work on your other projects looks like really recollecting your energies, pulling your power back from wherever maybe you've been leaking it or giving it to the wrong sources, right? Pulling it all back into your center, and from there recognizing, what is my foundation in truth? What are some things that need to be a part of all that I begin to do in the near future, right? Like integrity, honesty, authenticity, vulnerability, trust, patience. This is the spiritual foundation that needs to be worked on before we proceed to build anything in this material world. So it looks like getting that right first. Because, for example, let's pick one part of that. Let's pick one part of what I just said, honesty. Let's say we work on honesty, right? And that's a building block of our spiritual foundation, our spiritual structure, right? Then we go to build relationships in this realm. And any relationship we begin to build in this physical realm will reflect that quality of honesty and will therefore have more of a chance of being sustained, of being good and true, sustainable. That's just one small example. Okay, so think of patience as another example. If we work on that building block of our foundation, patience, right? Because nature is patient. It doesn't rush to get things done. It blooms in perfect timing, right? Everything unfolds in perfect timing. So if we work on reflecting that quality, which is innate, easily accessible once we give it our awareness, right? So if we work on patience, then as we build in this realm, let's say we're literally building a house, then we will have already worked on that very important quality, patience, that is required to build the best house we could possibly build. So you see, it's all about recognizing that the foundation of whatever it is we're going to build in this world has to be built upon truth, has to be built upon universal, timelessly applicable truth, so that it doesn't fall, it doesn't falter. Because if we don't build our foundation upon these universal concepts, it's bound to fail. It's bound to come crumbling down. It's not sustainable. We want to be building not just for us, for this lifetime, we want to be building for future generations. And the thing is, whatever material we build upon this foundation of universal truth, ultimately all things pass away, right? I'm thinking of the Beatles song, all things must pass, right? All things must pass. And it's true. However, look at it this way, okay? It's a little far out, but let's look at it this way together. We might build something upon this universal truth, and of course, eventually those walls have to crumble. However, whatever unfolds within that space that we build, whatever unseen things we create within that structure we built, within that material, that's the stuff that will have a chance of lasting forever, right? Because, for example, the house may go, but the light that we cultivate within that house we built will be so strong, so powerful, because it has its roots, its foundation in universal truth. So all things eventually crumble, yes. All we can do is do our best to make sure that we're building upon this foundation of truth. We don't want to be wasting our energies. We want to be giving it to the proper channels that are going to do the most, not just for us, but for the one. Okay, so let's look at the card again. If you look in the center, you see the masculine and feminine energies balanced, which are really the active and receptive forces, the red and the blue, the conscious and the subconscious. It's really about marrying those two together within you in a way that is going to bring balance, as seen by the 2 and the 2. A foundation to really build upon, right? That balance. Ultimately, this card represents that security, structure, foundation. For what? For success. For success. Because we're a couple of cards away, right? 6 of Wands, the next even number up. 6 of Wands is literally about victory, sustainable victory. But this has to come first, the foundation to secure that future victory. So this is the focus for the month. Working on the spiritual foundation. Because if we don't do this, then none of our projects, none of what we're giving our energy to is actually going to be sustained. So start from the bottom and work our way from there. Start from the inside and work our way from there. Build your foundation within. Build your foundation in the unseen realm, for that is the world of causes. What we see around us is only the effects of that unseen realm. So it's your foundation in the unseen realm. Okay, let's see what the biggest challenge is, at least right now, for building this foundation. What's the biggest challenge, which is also going to look like the gift once we transmute it? Oh, another one. It's been all wands, you guys. Last week and this week, all wands. All wands. We even had this one specifically pulled last week. Now we have this one. We just spoke about 6, right, as the next even number in the wands sequence. But now we're going backwards. We're going to the 2. We had the 2, 4. We just spoke about 6. So more wands, more fire, more spirit. So check out the image. It's always clear. People are often afraid to look at the cards. They think it's so complex, it's so complicated, there's too much going on. But really, If you have someone just point out a couple things to you, all of a sudden it becomes clear and you're like, oh wow, the image is actually really telling the tale of the wisdom within. It's all symbolic. Like what you're seeing in it, what you're scrying personally, has to have some truth in it, because it's all about the individual imagination and what we're projecting onto that image, right? So check it out. He's got the world in his hands. Okay, and he's wearing all red, which represents self-consciousness, that self-consciousness of the magician, awareness, focus. So he is actively meditating upon this world, right, which is representing opportunities. This is our biggest challenge right now. We're at the 2, not the 3, which is action. We're at the 2, which is the contemplation of the opportunities, not the action upon the opportunities yet. So the biggest challenge is deciding, which way do I want to go? Ultimately, all opportunities exist simultaneously here now. All opportunities exist simultaneously here now. So the hardest part sometimes is just deciding. And even before the deciding, sometimes we don't even see those opportunities because something is in the way, and ultimately it's a reflection of doubt. That barrier is always a reflection of doubt. Something is not allowing us to see the opportunities that exist, and so we feel discouraged. And we feel that there is no path for me, there is no option, there is no other way, I have no opportunities at this moment, but you do. You always do. For example, in any moment, there is the opportunity to meditate upon our blessings. That's an opportunity right there. And there are no excuses for that one. Hey, I'm alive. I'm breathing. I'm receiving nourishment from the elements. There's so much always to be grateful for. So that right there is an opportunity. And so that's kind of the gateway to opening up the door to the rest of the opportunities, right? It's like, okay, let me think of the simplest of opportunities that are right in front of me. And from there, I begin to tune into this frequency of opportunity, and then more begin to show up. So if you ever find yourself feeling discouraged and there are no opportunities, you just find yourself saying, oh, there's nothing, there's no path for me. Try your best to look at yourself outside of yourself, right? Like raise your spirit above yourself and look at yourself from this out-of-body perspective, which, by the way, is the secret of Arcanum 20, judgment, right? You look at yourself outside of yourself and say, no, cut it out. This is ridiculous. The opportunities are infinite, and you need to begin to see that here now. You need to be able to talk yourself through the process like this. You need to be able to have that self-dialogue. That's the inner mother and father coming out of you, right? Rising above you to face you and have this conversation with you. So if you ever find yourself saying, I don't see the opportunities, I just don't get it, there's nothing for me, that's when that inner mother and father has to step in and say, BS, this is ridiculous, come on, stop it, stop it. There's no excuse. First, get into the simple blessings of opportunity, right? Like I have an opportunity to drink a fresh glass of water right now. Wow, some people don't even have that. So I'm going to enjoy the out of that opportunity right now. And I'm going to use that feeling of gratitude to allow me to open up to the many opportunities that are always existing around me. So choose any one opportunity and make that your access point, your gateway into this opportunity consciousness. We all have the ability to do it. And the number one thing we should remember in those moments when we feel we have no opportunities is that, first of all, we're not being grateful. So we're not in a place of receptivity, right? And second of all opportunities exist simultaneously here now. All of them. And all we need to do is pull them in. And when you really are aware of this fact, when you really accept it as a fact, right? That we do have the potential to tap into any of these opportunities as they all exist simultaneously here now. When you really believe in that, then you can rely upon that belief, upon that awareness, and use it to pull you out of your funk whenever you want. But only if you really believe will you receive that support, that help. So again, right? 2 and 4. We're building this foundation in this spiritual realm, which means working on ourselves, working on our morals, working on our values, working on our beliefs, so that we can actually stick to them and build something upon that, build a life upon that. But the struggle within that is the two right now, the Two of Wands, right? So let's get a little more detailed here. How do these two relate to each other? The struggle would look like, I don't know which virtue to work on. I don't know which morals to work on. I don't know how to work on them. But the reason, it sounds so simple, right? It sounds so simple, but the reason we're not looking at it like that is because we're seeing from a more materialistically entangled perspective. We need to bring it back to this simplistic archetypal perspective. But we're way over here going, I don't know what opportunity to take. I don't have any opportunities in my life. There are too many. I'm overwhelmed. Okay, but rise above the situation. Take yourself out of the details of your material reality for a moment and see that the real opportunities within any material opportunity you could possibly fathom or recognize in your environment, the real opportunities behind those opportunities always are opportunities to cultivate the virtues. This is literally like the secret to life. Secret to life. And when you're in this space of gratitude and awareness of the many opportunities that are always knocking. So instead of becoming overwhelmed by the lack of opportunities or too many opportunities, we need to take a step back and go, what opportunities do I need to look for right now to be a better person, to create this, the foundation, the spiritual foundation? Okay? Forget about the material opportunities and ask, what opportunities should I be looking for right now to be more honest, to be more kind, to be more patient, to be more accepting, to release my anger, to release my frustration, to soothe my anxiety. And not just temporarily, not a temporary fix, but we should be looking for those opportunities in our lives that are going to help us fix or correct these qualities in a way that is going to be long-lasting, everlasting, sustainable, right? Are you beginning to see the connection between these two? Sustainability, structure, foundation in the spiritual realm first. That's the realm of causes, right? And then opportunities. When we're talking about opportunities in reflection of their divine purpose, all opportunities are really meant to serve us in cultivating more light, cultivating more virtuous light. I talk about this all the time. Think of the all virtuous light of compassion. This is what many people refer to as God. The all virtuous light of compassion. Compassion contains all the other virtues. You could see it as like a circle of light, or a ring of light, or the circle of life. This is compassion. And when that original light came through and split into the many colors you see around you, those virtues split up into many different virtues, right? And those are all the rivers that lead to that one ocean of compassion. So ultimately, we're here to see which different virtues we need to work on to get back to that all virtuous light. And there's always one that we're meant to be focusing on. And sometimes it's more obvious, right? For some of us, it's like, oh God, I've been having anger problems. And so clearly the virtue I need to work on is the neutralizing force of anger, which would be acceptance, peace, right? Kindness, patience, all those things. They're really all connected when you look at it, a little deeper. So when we let go of our frustration about our lack of opportunities in our lives right now, because that's ridiculous, there's always opportunities. And when we let go of our frustration or overwhelm with too many opportunities right now, we come back to our center, right? You close your eyes, you remember why we're really here. Not for these external opportunities, but for what those opportunities are trying to show us behind them, the opportunities to cultivate more virtuous light. This is the whole process of returning to God, or redemption, salvation. This is it. It's actually quite simple. It's all about frequency. It's all about energy. It's all about vibration. We're here to attune ourselves to that light, because when we embody that light, we really thrive. That's why we're here. We thrive in every way, and not just individually, but collectively. So that's why we're here to attune ourselves to this frequency of compassion, right? You always hear, be like God. We're created in the image of God. That's all it's saying, is that we want to attune our frequency to that which will make not only us thrive, but us as one thrive. And so the easiest way for us to begin to understand that process, or to begin to access that process, is to look at the different vices in our lives, because there are so many of them, right? Look at the different pains and struggles in our lives and see how we could use them as opportunities to transmute to be the alchemists we came here to be, to transmute them into light, into the virtues. And that's simple. Anyone can do that. And a child can understand this, right? So it's one thing to say, you need to be saved by Jesus or by whomever, right? Or you just like, and then people are like, how? I don't understand that, you know? Or it's one thing to say, you just need to be a better person. You need to be like God. That can be overwhelming. I don't understand. Give me the tools. And the tools are this. This is it. These are the tools. The virtues. Those are the rivers that lead to the ocean of compassion. Those are the different pathways that get us back to this high frequency of survival. So again, let go of the overwhelm, let go of the stress, of the frustration around not enough opportunities or too many. The fact is that in any moment, every one of us is receiving many opportunities to be a better person, to cultivate more virtuous light. And if you still feel like, I don't know what my opportunity is right now to cultivate this light, I don't know which virtue I'm supposed to be working on, I don't know, well then take any of them. There's no excuse. You can literally pick any one and work on that. You can say, I'm going to make this a game today, and I'm going to pick patience. And I'm going to do my best to be as patient as possible today. And watch how you're challenged. And watch how, even though you thought, I don't know what virtue I need to work on, the one you picked, there's plenty of work to do there. Any of them. Because we're all human. So there's always work to do there. So you can pick patience, you can pick honesty, whatever. Pick any one and make it a game. Because remember, any one of them leads back to the ocean of compassion. They're all pathways to that same one ocean. All rivers lead to the same one ocean. So pick any one, there's no excuse. Okay, so this is our challenge this month, is looking at the many opportunities we have to cultivate the virtues, to build more virtuous light. And don't be fooled, don't be tricked, don't stand there shell-shocked. Wow, there's so many, I don't know. Just pick one and begin, right? So like the negative end of this card can look, as a challenge, right, can look like we're standing there going, oh, I don't know. There are no opportunities. To which we then need to look at it on the opposite end of the spectrum and say, of course there are. There are always opportunities for soul's growth. And when I begin to recognize that and I begin to acknowledge that, all of a sudden, the many material opportunities become clear. And I see how they were really there all along. It's because we need to look at it from the inside out. We need to acknowledge that there is a higher reason for these opportunities. And once we do that, once we look through to the center of the situation at that, then we can recognize the many material opportunities that are being offered to us as a ritual to succeed in the opportunity within it of cultivating that light, cultivating that virtuous light, right? So for example, we can say, okay, I'm recognizing that I need to work on honesty, right? Okay, that's what it is. Yep, so clear. Then I pull myself out of my meditation upon this honesty and I begin to see the infinite opportunities around me for inserting more honesty into my experience, for cultivating more honesty, right? It's like I'm in meditation, I go, oh, there it is. That's the opportunity, honesty. Then I come out of my meditation and all of a sudden someone knocks on my door. And it's this friend that I've been having trouble with and they say, we got to talk this out. And there's my opportunity for honesty. Like literally the opportunity comes knocking on the door. It works like this, but we need to first acknowledge the deeper quality that we're here to work on, at least in this here now moment. We need to choose, we need to make a choice. And we need to do it with conviction. Because until we have that conviction about what we're working on, until we have that intention, which should be always based on a virtue that we're trying to cultivate, until we have that clarity, we can't recognize the opportunities. Because it's to the degree that we have that quality and conviction around that clarity and conviction around that particular quality that we want to work on, to that degree that we have that clarity and conviction around the quality that we want to work on, clarity of intention, until we have that, the opportunities won't be as clear. Okay, so like our lack of clarity and our lack of intention is going to reflect in the way that we either see or don't see the opportunities, in the way that we either recognize or don't recognize the opportunities. The clearer we are with our intention, of course, the clearer we're going to be able to see and receive the opportunities to fulfill it. Period. It's that simple. So don't be overwhelmed by all of the opportunities around you in the physical realm or the lack thereof. Instead, remember the real opportunities behind all those to narrow it down, because the virtues are only so many, right? And if you really want to narrow it down, just think compassion. That's really the root. That's way to simplify there, right? But to spice things up and to reflect the quality of the many within the one, right? Or the world of appearances, we want to open it up from compassion to the many different virtues. And at least from there, we have some choices to make, right? So we narrow down our opportunities. We're looking at the world. It's overwhelming. There's so much going on. We narrow it down to the virtues and say, there are the timeless opportunities. Because whatever's going on around me, whatever opportunities are being offered to me on the material plane, are always a reflection of those underlying frequencies, those underlying forces and opportunities. So I'm going to go straight to that, to the unseen realm, right? And because it's unseen, it's easy to forget. It's easy to get caught up in the material aspect of it. But no, I'm going to remember to look through the worldly opportunities to the opportunities for my spirit, for my soul, why I really came here. And from there, I'm going to choose intentionally, with conviction, which one I want to work on. And after fully choosing and accepting this choice, I'm going to then look around at my world and see what opportunities there are for me to fulfill that intention. So that's really the way. That's really the way. I'm going to look at the opportunities for soul's growth, right? We're here to progress spiritually and psychologically. So when we bring our focus back to what opportunities are there right now for me to progress spiritually and psychologically, then we really take a step back from the chaos of the world and our material entanglement, and we focus on what is important. And from there, we make a choice and we act on it. That's what we're working on right now. So the struggle is choosing what we need to work on, and then just doing it. And seeing that it's all a part of building this foundation. Somebody asked how many virtues are there, and there are different ways to look at the virtues. So I encourage you to Google virtues, and there are different representations of it from different cultures, different religions. You'll find so many different viewpoints. But the key is in remembering that they're all a reflection of compassion. So you can sit down and create your own list of virtues. I recommend looking up the 7 virtues and vices. You can think of also the 7 deadly sins. Their neutralizing forces will be the virtues that you want to work on. You can also look at the 10 commandments. Those will reflect a code of law that's written into our very DNA. For example, honor your mother and your father is not talking about your mother and father. I mean, those are one representation of that mother and father that's being spoken of there. But it's actually referring to the forces of masculinity and femininity. And to put in other words, the forces of the active forces and the receptive forces. The active and receptive force. The positive and the negative. An excellent book to begin to understand this is Emmett Fox's book, The 10 Commandments. He discusses the 10 Commandments from a metaphysical perspective. So do your own research, make a list of virtues, and then just stick to them. And know that behind every opportunity you're receiving in life, right, through relationship, job, home, whatever, just to work on your character, right? It's all to work on your character, is what I wanted to say. So all of these worldly opportunities are really just, you have to remember when you're saying yes or no to any of these opportunities in life, okay? As you're out there making these decisions to say yes or no to what you're going to give your energy to, ask yourself first, is it going to serve my spiritual and psychological progression and the spiritual and psychological progression of the one? If not, then I don't want it. And if it is, how so? And let me say yes to this opportunity in a way that is intentional, in a way where I put my best foot forward and really take the reins on the situation. So I'm not just saying yes or no. I'm first examining the opportunity, seeing how it either will or will not serve my progression and the progression of the one. And then it's either, oh, no, it doesn't, get away from it, or it does, and how? How does it? Because once we begin to conceive of the how, kind of make this strategy, that's when we're accessing the 4 of the major arcanum, who is the emperor, aka the sovereign. That's when we're accessing that archetype, and we begin to form a strategy so that we take our steps intentionally with awareness, not like, oh, I'm just stepping into this. Okay. No, we're like stepping into each opportunity in a way that is empowered, in a way that is strategic, in a way that promises to see that project through to the end. We're fully souls embodied in that way, right? When we really bring our awareness in and make the decision with conviction and form this strategy, we're walking with our fullest power. We're making the most of our experiences. We're not half-assing it. We're not sort of kind of saying yes, or kind of maybe saying, jumping into this experience. No, I'm saying yes to this experience, and I'm bringing my all to the table, and I'm going to do my best. That all comes with the 4. You can also think of the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz, right? Always do your best. Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best and be impeccable with your word, right? Those are like 4 pillars that form a structure, a foundation to really thrive. All right, you guys, I think that's enough. I'm feeling really clear with this message. We got all wands again, 2 wands cards. We got 3 wands cards last week, all wands. We had a repeat card from last week showing us that this is absolutely where we're at right now, is building this structure, building this foundation to really thrive. And we're doing it by focusing on the opportunities that are behind the physical opportunities, behind the worldly opportunities, the ones for our soul's growth and the growth and expansion of our mind as well, individually and collectively. Thank you guys for tuning in. The next class, by the way, for those of you who have been taking the weekly class, will be this Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's our final class of the series on card 22, the Materialist, aka Annihilation. And the course will be over. And so y'all know, if you haven't heard of this course yet, every single class is recorded and stored privately on Google Drive, and every class is 60 to 90 minutes long. And it's a little bit different than the book that I published in March. For those of you who have my book, thank you for your support. I hope you're really enjoying it, and I would love to hear your feedback. Please feel free to share it in our private Facebook group, The Royal Path, where all of our students meet together. We all meet together, and we share about archetypal awareness and activation. But again, the book is a little bit different than the classes. The classes go in depth, right? 60 to 90 minutes long for each trump card. They go in depth in the explanation of their occult symbolism, the imagery. We use both the Rider-Waite and the Brotherhood of Light deck in each class to kind of give you an idea of the symbols that are associated with the card in a way that's not just from one side or the other. It gives you both, so then you can kind of see the overall theme of each of the cards, and then maybe even create your own symbolism, your own imagery, create your own intimate connection and relationship to each of those cards. Okay, so this is a little bit about the class. If you want to know more about the class, just go ahead and private message me. And what else? I'll see you guys next week for the full moon activation, or I'll see you Thursday for the class. Shalom. Have a great day, you guys, and an excellent rest of your weekend.